Let's go! Who's up next?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Xbox Empire, episode 2. It is I, your host, Kevin, and with me tonight, unfortunately, could not be Mr. Donnie Reese. He is tied up in this crazy, crazy world we have going on, but I did call in some backup in a voice we don't hear as much as we used to, Mr. Seth Roy.
Howdy. You know, when you said unfortunately, I thought you were going to say unfortunately.
I brought Seth?
Yeah, you brought Seth tonight, so that's where I thought that was going.
Well, depending on the feedback, maybe we'll get some feedback from this episode, and maybe it would be an unfortunately, but I don't see it as a downside right now, at least. But this show, obviously, is here to talk all about Xbox. It's our new weekly show, our weekly contribution to the world of Microsoft over here at Play Some Video Games. But we couldn't do it, of course, without our lovely Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/PSVG. So special thank yous to Edwin Callow, Barry Cathcart, Josh the Bonesaw Borboni, Chris McElfresh, Devin Tyus, Kyle Heyman, Paul Calico, Mike Masick, Zach Bradshaw, and Nick Falhaba. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to support us and get some cool perks in the meantime, head on over to patreon.com/PSVG to check out the full details, everything you get, and how to support us. But enough of that, Seth. The reason you're here, you know, for people who haven't been around the Discord and maybe don't know what's going on, you've had a transition here a little bit. You've got a new acquisition to your gaming library. Is that correct?
I do have the Xbox One X. I've had it now for, I don't know, more than 2 months, which is kind of crazy to believe that all of this stuff has happened in less than 3 months.
Yeah, it's
but,
you got
but
it.
It's
at the
already
beginning.
been 2 months. Yeah,
Right.
So the day before Ohio schools announced they were closing, which I work for an Ohio school district, and my kids go to school here. The day before that happened, I tore my meniscus, and the fine folks here at PSVG banded together and sent me a used Xbox One X and some Game Pass, and Coach Mo bought me Forza Motorsport 7.
Nice.
So, yeah, I have been an Xbox owner again now for about 2 months.
So, and that's the big thing here. Lobo Rican's in the chat room. What's up, Lobo? The main twist here is for people who know your history at PSVG is you've been traditionally known as the PlayStation guy.
Mm-hmm.
However, prior to you jumping on the PS4, you were in the Xbox ecosphere prior, correct?
I was actually the Xbox 360 that generation. First, I joined the Wii that generation, and then decided that I was tired of getting cruddy ports of
shovelware,
like sports games. And
yep.
I mean, obviously some great games on the Wii, but then there were, I wanted to play Mass Effect and an actual NBA game and so forth. So I got the 360 mainly so I could play Mass Effect, and really loved that console for, I don't know, the 2 years that I had it. And then I got the Red Ring of Death 3 times and kicked it to the curb and jumped back to PlayStation. So
And now
anyway,
it all comes full circle.
Now it all comes full circle. I have long said, and I'm still very much a believer, even though now I have all 3 consoles in my house. I don't have time to play all 3 consoles.
No.
Or the money to put behind it. But the one great thing about Xbox, and I've said it for a long time, is there's the Game Pass. So I automatically have a huge backlog just by joining Xbox, and it includes a lot of games that I've never had access to before. So
it definitely is. That's one of my favorite things about Xbox, and I mean, I've said this over and over again, where when they initially announced Game Pass, it's like, how does this work? How are they going to make money? And I still wonder those things, but I'm happy I have it now because you're right. It's just a constant barrage of games, and they're adding to it every month. And typically there's 5 or more games added every single month. All the first party games come there right away. You don't need to buy them any of them. So with that being said, what would have been some of the standout experiences, the games you've really kind of enjoyed so far since coming back to Microsoft?
Yeah. So the big one is Forza Motorsport 7. I've talked a lot about enjoying racing games, and really it's been about little over 3 years now. Whenever Gran Turismo Sport came out, I think that was 2016, maybe 17. I'm not sure. But since Gran Turismo Sport and the F1 game that year, I've really been into a lot of racing games, but obviously I'd never played Forza. So I've really, I've done just about everything you can do single player wise in Forza without jumping. I haven't touched an online race at all. But one thing that I do like about it is all of the AI that I race are you and Donnie and Mo and Nathan and
Drivatars, yeah.
And so that's kind of fun. I can say, oh, I beat Mo in a race, even though I didn't really. But also, he kind of drives dirty, keeps smashing into me.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So I don't know what that is. So really, really like Forza Motorsport. I haven't touched Horizon yet. I figured I kind of wanted to get through Motorsport before I dove into Horizon.
Right.
So that's really the big one. I haven't actually played that many Game Pass because the one kind of unfortunate thing with the timing of this is 2 weeks after I got this console, Final Fantasy VII came out.
That's right.
And it's been 2 months now, and I'm almost at the end of that game. So if you want to get an idea of how much game time I generally have, it's taking me 2 months to play 30 hours of Final Fantasy VII. Plus, I have played Super Mega Baseball, Snow. I forget what it's called now. I reviewed it. Snow Tires or whatever. The Spin Tires, the Snow Runner. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
Where you're, that has a great. If you go and look at the trailer for that game, that will sell you on buying a truck. It also will sell you on the promise of like Middle America and shipping, and I don't know. It's a really good patriotic trailer that might play a little differently now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, played that game on, and then the game on Game Pass that I've been most looking forward to was the release of Minecraft Dungeons. I'm not super far in that. I think I've played 3 dungeons at this point because I really am trying to get through Final Fantasy if I have a long gaming period. But I love Minecraft Dungeons. It's a great game. I don't know the longevity of it, but for a game that I'm, I guess, subscribed to and whatever, it's a great game.
It's a lot of fun.
I will gladly buy the DLC when it comes out. I've contemplated getting it for Switch, so my girls can play it. One thing with the Xbox, I only have one controller, so I can't play it with them. But I think they would like it. But it looks really good, and it's just a fun game to play.
Yeah, totally.
So that's really where I am. I haven't done a ton. I haven't played Halo yet. When I had the 360, I did play Halo 3. I wasn't very good at it. And also, it's kind of like jumping into Back to the Future 3 without watching the first 2. I guess I don't know the Halo stories, obviously, but I was missing out. I wasn't connected to the story. I have played the original Gears back on 360, and I look forward to jumping into that again, or at least the new Gears games.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about getting into those things once I kind of put away some of my other stuff.
Sounds good. All right. So the way this show works, it's a little bit more casual than what we typically do. It's a little less scripted. We brought a couple topics to kind of go over, and Seth and I haven't talked about any of this stuff ahead of time. It's just kind of whatever happens. So we'll jump into those. I have 2 here, so if we have time, we'll do them both. If not, we'll just do one, but we'll see where it goes. Xbox finally details some backwards compatibility on Xbox Series X. So they've talked about how it's going to work, and this has been kind of a hot topic for both Sony and Microsoft right now, with Sony not really fully pulling that curtain back. Obviously they were supposed to have an event this week as we're recording this, but that's been delayed due to the, political atmosphere, just the life atmosphere right now, I should say, that it's not appropriate to really celebrate these types of things, as they said. But Xbox did give some details here. Now, backwards compatibility for you, Seth, coming in. So let's say, I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think you're jumping into Xbox Series X day one, per se. But with your recent reintroduction to Microsoft, and as you said, you have this big backlog just from Game Pass alone, how important is backwards compatibility to you if this stuff that's on Game Pass now can carry over into next gen with better performance?
So, in general, I haven't been super drawn to backwards compatibility just because I don't replay games that I've already beaten, usually. And typically when I've tried to revisit a game, unless it's been a remake, and I've never played Final Fantasy VII before, but
right.
I don't think I could go back and play the original Final Fantasy VII.
Sure.
I really don't have a desire to do that. And I find it hard. I've gone into some PS2 era games, the Bounty Hunter, Star Wars Bounty Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
I jumped into that, and I'd never played it before, but I just couldn't. There's been a change from that era to this era in terms of how games control and whatnot. So it's not something that I'm not excited about going back and playing old 360 games beyond some of the first party games.
Right.
Now, certainly it looks like moving forward, any current generation needs to be represented on future consoles. That's at least what's going to happen with these next series of consoles, and it's what should happen at this point.
Yep.
I may not care right now about backwards compatibility, but I'm not going to say it's not like it's a bad thing. It's an added service.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the big thing Microsoft has really been focusing on, is that value add.
Yep.
With things like Game Pass Ultimate, xCloud, which we'll talk a little bit about later as long as we have time. These things are all just adding to that value that Microsoft is really trying to push. So, and I'm with you in regards where I'm not necessarily like, yeah, let's go back and play an Xbox original game, not Xbox One. I mean, like the first Xbox game, but the stuff from this generation, the stuff we're playing right now, if I didn't get to it, like the big example for me right now is both the last 2 Assassin's Creed games.
Mm-hmm.
I've barely played either one. I'd really like to play them. I honest to God would, but if the Xbox Series X comes out and I get that and I can't play them, well, then I'm just missing out. But if I can play them on this next generation, I feel like I'd still do so. It's not as bad as going back to 360 or back to the original Xbox and dipping back into that.
Right. So with less load times and some frame rate fixes and things like that. The one series that I say is my favorite gaming series is Mass Effect, the original trilogy. And now that I have an Xbox One X, I have access. I can go back and play those 3 games easily. And I know there's the rumors that there might be a remaster or whatever that looks like, which I'd be really excited about. But one of the, I guess, painful things about going back to play those games is the elevator loading screens and just how long it takes to get from one place to the next. And there's been games, this generation, Bloodborne on PlayStation 4, but that's a good example of one where you die and you die a lot, and then it takes, at the beginning, it took 45 seconds to reload.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'd be lucky to live for 45 seconds after that.
That's true.
So anything that can lessen load times and might, I haven't played Assassin's Creed Odyssey yet. I have it, and would like to as well, but anything that can lessen load times and make things a little faster will make it easier to make the decision to maybe give an older game a try again.
Absolutely. And so the details Xbox has given is that all games will work, meaning their first party stuff especially. Not only do they all play, they all should be improved by running natively on Series X with the full power of the CPU, GPU, solid state drive being put to task. So these are the things that we've debated a lot in our Discord too, that like, what really feels like next gen, and it seems like what next gen for us is going to be a little different than the jump from 360 to Xbox One per se. That was a graphical improvement. We still will see that with this one, but I think it's going to be a lot less to the native eye is like, oh my god, this looks so much better on Series X than it did on Xbox One X. But it's really going to be that performance, these load times, these frame rates, maximum resolution, load times, quick resume, HDR, all these types of things here are going to be more the quality of life improvements. And I think that, especially with this gen, those elevated load times are perfect examples of things that just by reducing that will make games more playable for us to go back and revisit. If we're not seeing constant load times or long load times, it's not as much of a burden to go back and say, oh, this game didn't age well. Like that's one of the things that I struggle with sometimes going back and revisiting a game is the load time, the lag, if they have that, like if there's too much going on the screen and it slows down, all stuff that with better components behind the hardware should theoretically cause it to run better. And that's kind of what Microsoft's big pledge is to really do it. They're big on this game preservation. They're working on options to improve games, but keep the original artistic intent. So not doing remakes, just making the games perform better. Increase frame rates from 30 to 60 or 60 to 120 in those cases. And they're listening to fans as to what games they'd like to have compatible, so on and so forth. So, I mean, for me, I'm really optimistic that Microsoft will do this right. And honestly, I'm a little more optimistic than I am about Sony right now, just due to them kind of being buttoned up about it. They have said, yes, that there will be backwards compatibility, but they've promised that before, and it hasn't always worked, or it hasn't always worked the way we imagined it. Will it be in the form of a PS Now, which, is essentially probably what Microsoft's going to do, something similar to that, where it's, it's going to be digital only. Obviously, you're not going to be able to put your disc in and play, I don't think. Maybe we will. But it might be something more digital where if you have the game purchased digitally, you'll still be able to play it on the next console. Your thoughts about Microsoft's strategy, and do you see that really being a benefit, given, as you said, with backwards compatibility, not really being something to go back and revisit? Donnie's in the chat right now saying, bring back Lollipop Chainsaw to backwards compatibility, NCAA. Lollipop Chainsaw is a maybe, but I don't see NCAA coming back just due to licensing. But is this strategy something you're excited about, Seth, to see things come back with these improvements that might make games playable that may not have been anymore?
So, I mean, again, I'm in general the wrong audience for that, I guess.
That's true.
But it might depend on the game, and I'm again, I don't know as much about the Xbox ecosystem. If there are old Xbox games or games that I haven't been able to play from other. Because I've been on PlayStation or Nintendo, I can think of some older like Sega games that I never played, like the Dreamcast era. I basically, when I had a Dreamcast, I played NFL 2K, NBA 2K, and Crazy Taxi.
Oh, I love Crazy Taxi.
But I didn't play Phantasy Star Online or any of the Phantasy Star games. I've never played a Phantasy Star game. Yeah, and I know, right now on Xbox there's Phantasy Star Online too. So there's a lot of I'm more open to some of those kind of games now than I used to be. And if the right game comes along, I'd be would be open to trying it out. But I don't know them off the top of my head, other than if I could pop in an NCAA football 14 and take Kent State to the national championship, then I'd do that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it just to see more added in is kind of the value there. And realistically, if it's stuff that you can get better performance out of, I'd be willing to repurchase certain games. Like if you tell me, I don't know, Fallout 3 is coming and it's backwards compatible. It is now, but right now it's just whatever it was. If you can actually make it perform better, quicker load time, stuff like that, then that's something that's going to get me to jump on these games and go back to them. for sure. And I think licensing obviously is a big issue with the sports games, with anything that has, soundtrack being a big part, Tony Hawk, which thankfully is being remade, but those types of games, even Crazy Taxi to an extent, will they have the music? Will the Offspring allow that to be licensed again, or will they pay for that again? Those are experiences that enhance the game that I'm not sure we will still be able to get through backwards compatibility. That may take those types of titles off there. So yeah, I guess more to see, really.
Yeah, and one thing I do like about the backwards compatibility and being an Xbox Live Gold Ultimate, whatever it is, member, this month there was Destroy All Humans, and Sine Mora, which is a Xbox 360, and I think Destroy All Humans might be an original Xbox game. I don't know. I know that's
been redone a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. I know they have some of those. So through that avenue, I can see myself trying out some of those older games, and really just having, if it's a part of Game Pass and it's a good game, I'll probably give it a go. Like I have the KOTOR games on my Game Pass, like flagged list right now. I did play the original KOTOR on PC back whenever that came out.
As did I.
But other than that, I've tried playing it since then on my iPhone, but that was pretty awful.
Yeah.
But I might be interested in going back. The one thing they can't fix, at least I imagine, is stiff controls and bad camera.
Yes.
That is the thing that's hard about going back to the old games.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So the other big topic that actually kind of broke right before we really started getting on is that there's an article came out where Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is apparently to be offered as a service with Samsung TVs. So we see this big boom, obviously, with smart TVs and all these things, all this functionality built into our televisions, streaming Netflix directly from it, streaming Hulu directly from it. Well, Samsung Access will apparently, per their website, when you purchase a new TV from them, they will give you get your choice of a streaming or gaming service up to $120 value included at no additional cost. Choose from Showtime, Sling TV, YouTube Music Premium, YouTube TV, and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So according to the expanded details on the site right now, it seems to be merely giving consumers a free subscription to the service. Whether or not this actually becomes built into the TV's ecosphere will be most likely later on. Donnie kind of said probably with the TVs in the fall, we may see xCloud, which Microsoft's been talking about a lot and kind of been testing out and experimenting, is we could potentially see Xbox Game Pass come to smart TVs without having to have an Xbox console. We're seeing other things right now with Apple Arcade, PlayStation Now on certain TVs, obviously with Sony TVs, because that's what they can do. It's their own product line. But, Microsoft doesn't make TVs yet. So this seems to be a big play for Xbox, considering Samsung TVs are one of the biggest distributors of TVs in the world right now. Your thoughts, Seth, on that, like xCloud on your TV without a console?
I think that would be great for. I guess it would be great for somebody. I don't know exactly who the target audience of having xCloud just straight on the TV would be. But what drew me to trying out Stadia was the promise of being able to play video games wherever I am without having an extra box hooked up. Where if it worked well enough and they had enough games, then and you don't need a box and you can stream it right on your TV, great. And if this is the same sort of thing where it might actually draw somebody who's not interested in gaming to try out Xbox for for a year, or even whether they decide to add that as their free service when they buy the TV, that might spur them to, it's like, oh, I'm bored, let me try whatever. If anything, it would be an easier way to play Jackbox.
That's true. Because I'm trying to think, and you kind of brought up, is while this sounds in theory to be a kind of a big move, a power play, you're right. Who is this targeting? because if you know about Game Pass Ultimate or you know about this, you likely have an Xbox. So I'm wondering how, even if xCloud is really going to be the execution of this, and let's say everything that shows up on Game Pass will be available to use through xCloud, which, you know, Phil Spencer said before, that's the end game plan, is to have that. Number one, you'd have to have an Xbox controller, right? So what's the likelihood you buy a controller, you pay for Game Pass Ultimate on your TV, but yet you don't own a box? Like, I don't know if we're there yet.
Yeah.
It seems a little weird.
Yeah, unless they package controllers with the TV also. Or, you know, could be the kind of thing where you have multiple, you know, most people have multiple TVs in their house anymore, where you have one Xbox box in your gaming room, and then you buy this TV and can play it in both places without having to have two boxes. I can see that.
That's true. That's not a bad idea. Make things easier than moving the box from TV to TV, or if I wanted to play, you know, Fortnite with my daughters, doing split screen, I haven't had a great experience with that. But if I can play on my TV and they can play on their TV in their room, that works out pretty well. So you're right. So I guess there is, you know, some certain positive aspects to something like this, and, you know, we'll see kind of where it goes. As of right now, it's you know, if you take advantage of it, you're just getting it for your console. It's not set up for xCloud yet, but. You know, Phil said that that's coming, so I would suspect that that's something that we see announced probably during this Series X rollout, as the news continues to flow with that, more about xCloud.
The one question I had about this article and the picture that came along with it, as the two people are looking at the TV, smiling and holding their controllers with the loading screen from Forza Horizon in there. Is Forza Horizon split screen?
That's my knowledge, no.
Okay.
I don't even think it's a two-player game, so
okay.
Let alone split screen. So, and they're having a lot of fun playing that loading screen. So you're right.
Yeah.
So good move on you, Microsoft, for attempting, but bad marketing.
Yeah. And also, I mean, the idea. I think I have a Roku TV now. I did have a Samsung TV at one point, but if you're looking for TV, Samsung makes good TVs.
Yeah.
And if you know, I have an Xbox, and that, you know, or I get Netflix or whatever it is, that's just good marketing,
Added
good
benefit.
partnerships. Yeah.
Makes sense. So that's the topics I had for this week. So it's time for the Xbox One question, where each week we take, that's right, just one question from our audience and kind of address that. So this week, Egg Shen, Mr. Zach Bradshaw, we are addressing your question you sent in. What new game would make the Series X an instant purchase for y'all? And yes, I had to put the y'all. For me, I don't know. I was trying to think, and it's kind of weird, because you know that all the first-party games are coming to Game Pass, so you don't need to worry about those. And they've said, you know, for the first year, everything's going to be on both. So I don't have to rush to drop and buy it. But a title that I would certainly be extremely interested in, that would make me say, maybe I need to upgrade sooner than I thought, if this were to be an exclusive just on Series X, would be if they did a new Alan Wake game and did that with the power of Series X, kind of really cranked it up. Donnie and I talked about Alan Wake a little bit last week. That's one I'd love to see, even with the backwards compatibility. If they made that game run better and look better than what it did when they first came out, that'd be great. But if you want to throw a new one at me for Series X, I'm all over it. And I think that would be the only thing I could think of that would make me jump. I love Gears, I love Halo, and those are great experiences. But to me, I know they are for a lot of people. They're a console seller, like, oh my God, I need to play this newest one. For me, I'll get to them when I get to them. And right now, I think Game Pass has spoiled me a little bit, where I'm not rushing to get to stuff, because I know I have it day one, so I can just play it. But if you dangle Alan Wake in front of me and say, you can't play it, Kevin, unless you get a Series X, that would be the one that would make me try and figure out how I can get my hands on a Series X.
Yeah, this has been a question or whatever that I've struggled with, but currently, I got a Xbox One X 2 months ago, and I have 200 Xbox games to play right now that I'll never get to. And I also know that I have Game Pass for the next year and a half, and I'm getting Halo Infinite, or is that what it's called?
Yep.
Halo Infinite, and I'm getting Forza 8.
Mm-hmm.
And assuming that's coming, all that is coming to Xbox One X. So as far as jumping up to a Series X, there would have to be something with probably specifically Forza that just a specific feature. I don't know what it is, so it's not a specific game, but it's some sort of a feature that is just so much better on the Series X than it is on the One X. Chances are, if the Series X launches at $500, I can probably get at least $200 out of my One X.
Right.
Toward a Series. There's.
Oh yeah.
And if I really had to jump into next gen, I have a PS4 Pro and a Xbox One X. I can combine things and jump into next gen full force. So there would have to be a really specific feature of a Forza or Halo or something that really just grabs me. And I've thought same thing like with PS5. Gran Turismo 7 gets announced and it looks bonkers. And is only coming to PS5, then the scales are going to be tipped that way.
Yeah, makes sense. So we're doing pretty good on time. This show we try and make 45 minutes to an hour, so we still have some time here, Seth. So for you thinking about the Series X, what would be some of the things on your wish list that you'd say, hey, I'd really like this to be a feature or an experience or a benefit of having the Series X over what we see with the Xbox One X today?
Kind of a tough question because I don't think that I've really experienced yet all of what Xbox is. The Game Pass is something that's assuming that grows and continues to grow. I'm sure that it will. Even though I don't have a lot of extra peripherals right now, but the ability to carry forward any peripherals that I might have, and just right now I just have my controller. But if I were going to get a Series X, then it's just an added benefit of already having another controller. Cross generation play. Is something that's something that I really have been thinking a lot about with my PS4, and playing. I play Apex Legends weekly with a couple friends, and if I were to jump to PS5 and they didn't yet, can we still play Apex Legends? We can still play the same game because it's going to be accessible.
Sure.
But can we play together? That's the same thing. So whether it's PS4 to PS5 or Xbox to Series X, that cross-generation play, especially now that the generations are so much more intermingled.
Yeah.
Cross-gen play, cross-gen or cross-platform saves. And again, Apex Legends is my main example here. I've been playing it now for 16 months.
Yeah.
Only on PS4, and I've got, I'm not some super high level. I'm level 130 or whatever. I've got all the characters unlocked and handful of skins for everybody and every gun and whatnot. For me that's probably my game of the generation at this point. For me to jump from PS4 to Xbox, I would love to be able to carry my progress over. Not that I don't know if that's enough of a thing to keep me from buying a specific console. I don't know. In 5 years, am I still going to be playing Apex Legends? Maybe that's not that big of a deal. But right now, that's what I'm thinking. Those cross-platform, cross-generation saves and parties and playing together.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And to kind of sidetrack just a little bit, I don't understand how Apex hasn't had like a unified login. So Fortnite, I can log in on my Switch, my PS4, or my Xbox, and I have the same account. I have all the same stuff. I don't know how they haven't done that with Apex yet, but that's separate from the hardware.
Should be able to, because you've got an EA login,
right? So you'd think. But I do like your cross-generational play, and you kind of brought up more in the aspect of PS versus Xbox. I was thinking, as you first said it, Xbox Series X to Xbox One.
Oh yeah,
would be
that's
big too. Like
it would be.
Like, you know, you look at Halo Infinite, which we kind of already know is going to be, I don't want to say Destiny-esque, but it looks like it's going to be that type of game where it's an online world, and there's going to be a player base. And I think it would benefit to have that player base from both Xbox ecospheres to be able to play at once. But I guess only time will tell. But that's a great one. So thank you for bringing that. I hadn't even thought of that, and now it's something I'm like, you know what? I do want that.
Or like you think about Minecraft Dungeons just came out, and that's a game that hopefully I don't know much about the development, but I imagine it's a game that should have a long tail. There's going to be DLC, and that's a game that you could drop DLC packs and new dungeons every 4 months.
Oh yeah.
So eventually, Kevin, you're going to get an Xbox Series X, maybe I don't know, and you're going to have a box that's going to be in your daughter's room. Well, you can't play. Are you going to be able to play Minecraft Dungeons with her from Xbox One X to Xbox Series X? Like that kind of. I mean, that's Donnie. I can see. You know, he's talking about putting the Xbox One X in his son's room or hooking it up in a different spot in the house. You know, being able to play together, and I have to imagine that's going to happen. If you can
the
play,
games are going to have cross saves and cross other kinds of infrastructure. I imagine certain games will be able to do that for sure.
If you can play from Microsoft Dungeons on your Switch with your Xbox One X, you should be able to play your Xbox One X to your Series X. And I know that's not available yet, but
I hope you all enjoyed my Donnie impersonation right there. I sounded just like him, didn't I?
Sorry,
that was weird.
I had to turn down the radio a little bit. It's getting a little quieter out there. So while you guys are wrapping up, I thought I'd turn the mic on.
That's good. So I guess I'll throw the question to you real quick then, Donnie, if you can chime in. So what would be the one feature you hope to see in Xbox Series X that's not on the current ecosphere that we haven't heard of yet? So that brought up the cross-platform play and saves and whatnot. What would be something on your wish list?
Fable.
I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah.
I mean, guys, I feel like Xbox has every feature imaginable. VR, maybe a plug-and-play VR solution. One of the things that I'm really, I don't know, because I'm kind of back and forth on, I would love it if all of my Xbox purchases were available to be played on PC through the Xbox app.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like developers might not like that because it's less incentive for people to buy on PC. Which is still such a huge base. And I think that's where xCloud and Game Pass kind of bridges that gap for Microsoft in a way that doesn't cost developers money. So I think it's kind of an interesting niche that they've kind of carved out for themselves. Because you can remote stream games from your Xbox to your PC, but you can also download games that are available via Game Pass, and then soon with xCloud, you'll be able to do that as well. So those are a couple things in terms of features, but I mean, the Xbox, this has been Phil Spencer's thing, right? The controller, the controls, backwards compatibility, like all the UI updates, all the improvements, Game Pass, cloud saves, like it seems like every time there is anything that they think can improve gamers' experience, Xbox Live, like all of it. It seems like that's what they're doing. That's why they're all in. They're so consumer friendly. It's honestly, it's like I feel like every podcast is going to say this line in the next 6 months. It's like a reverse from the start of last gen. That's all I remember people saying at the start of last gen is how consumer and gamer friendly and focused PlayStation was. And it's like I couldn't imagine anybody saying that now. Not to say that PlayStation's not focused on games. They definitely are, and they make some of the best games in the world. But like, are they really focused on giving you the best gaming experience possible? Maybe. Right. But I feel like Xbox has definitely paved a stronger path forward since Phil Spencer has taken over in that regard, which is why I don't want to derail, but it's why I was talking about, the exclusives versus the cross-platform first-party exclusives thing. I can't imagine anything being more customer-friendly than saying you literally don't have to buy our box to play this games. Like, that is the most customer-friendly thing I could ever say. I could ever think that anybody... Could you imagine... the thing that I keep saying to prove that point is, could you imagine if Nintendo did that? Like, they're still making us buy games. Like, they're still making us buy Super Mario World and stuff like that. Like, they're so antithesis of that, and people give them so much crap for it. And Xbox literally just came out and said, no, don't worry about it. You want to play Halo? Play it on whatever you want. Play it on PC, play it on Xbox One, Xbox One S, play it on Xbox Series X, play it on whatever you want. Now, obviously, all those different experiences will be different. They'll have varying degrees of performance, but they're still available to anybody. It's such like a wide net that they're casting, which I think has led some to say, well, that means the game won't be that great. I think that's far-fetched stone to throw. I think all games, and I'm going to say this broadly, but I think I'm saying it broadly, and it's not to demean a game developer. I would never want to do that. Games are hard. I get it. But this generation has proven that supporting multiple platforms is something that games are absolutely, definitely capable of. Mm-hmm. Indie games put their game on Switch, they put it on phones, they put it on Xbox, they put it on PC. PC games that like run at ungodly levels of textures and performance get ported down to Switch. Like, there is a way to support multiple platforms. And maybe, the one thing we don't know is maybe some of those games are delayed or they come out later. Like, we still don't know that for sure, that they all hit the same day. But I think with first-party games, I think they're going to be stellar across the board. And I only point to the Xbox versions of those games that are available in Game Pass on PC. They have all the performance slider. Like, Gears on PC is incredible.
Right.
Gears 5 on PC is incredible. Like, if you don't need a Series X to play that game in super awesome, like, you could just pull it up on your PC right now and play it. So I was a little stunned and a little shocked at Sony's statements. Not that they were wrong. If I was selling a console, for instance, I also would make my exclusives available on one platform. Because there is no, like, that's the definition of a system seller. Like, I'm not saying that's wrong. I want to be clear. I'm not throwing a stone at Sony. I'm just a little taken aback by how fast the narrative turned on Xbox when Sony said that, and everybody was like, see Xbox, see what you're not doing? It's like, wow, that is interesting, because Xbox is literally giving you carte blanche over whatever you want to do, and you're like, so not you know what I'm saying, like the royal you. So many turned and just like, see, it's going to have exclusive games. And it's like, is that a good thing? Like, I get it that you want validation in your box. I was hoping the validation was performance. And I was hoping that the customer-friendly path forward that Xbox was blazing would endear itself to customers. And unfortunately, at least from my little echo chamber, the things that I've seen, I feel like it's turning people off. They're like, well, if you don't give me a reason to upgrade, then I just won't. And that's fine. Yeah. I think Xbox is fine with that. And as Sean Capri said, everybody's still going to get the game. Everybody's going to still subscribe to Game Pass. They'll still keep playing. So it's not bad. I mean, that's kind of what Xbox is going for. I just do I feel a little singled out, I guess is the way of feeling it, because all of this narrative and conjecture that Phil Spencer and Xbox has been weaving for the last 3 or 4 years has really swung me so far back their way. Like, they've won me so over. I just want to support them so much for I've said it 1,000 times. I feel like I'm stealing Game Pass. Stealing it. Like, I almost feel bad. I'm like, I gotta buy something. Do you know how many games I've bought DLC for that I haven't played just because I had the game on Game Pass and it was like $10? Like, it's weird. It's a weird place to be in. And I'm not even saying that because, like, I spend lots of money on games. Even if you didn't spend lots of money on games, like, it's a steal. Yeah. I just want to support that. And I thought all these moves and everything would make people go, oh, I'm going to do this because of this. And it feels like I might be a little isolated there. It feels like I do think, at least I'll say, as far as the PSVG family, I feel like it's pretty apparent. It's going to be like me and Nathan. And that's even if Nathan gets a day one. That's like true. I might be the only person.
Coach Mo will get it. Coach will get it.
That's true. Yeah, so it is a little isolating feeling. Because I don't. That is one thing that I don't know what they could do to entice people more. Besides, unveiling some incredible new game, which I'm sure they're hoping the initiative is working on. I don't know. I mean, they definitely will unveil something.
Not right away, but there's no reason not to show the console. Like, once you're fully ready to unveil this thing, show the console, show what you have working on, and say, this game is coming out holiday next year. Except for the first year.
Yeah.
We've seen games at E3 unveiled 2 years prior to them actually seeing the light of day.
And they
There's
might
nothing stopping
stagger
them
it a
from
bit,
doing the
right?
same
They
thing.
may say, like,
Yep.
this one is, but they may come out and say, like, this one isn't.
Yeah.
You know, like, this one can't be. Like, it's just so amazing, or it'll come later or something like that, you know? Like, I don't know.
Fable.
I think the other thing, and I forget if you guys talked about this last week or if I heard it on, whatever other gaming
Boss
podcasts.
is going to kill me if he sees me online.
Is I need to see what is different about Series X and PS5. Like see visually or see what I need, like a visual representation of ray tracing. Like, I don't know what the heck ray tracing is.
Sure.
I
think that's what everybody's saying with next gen, right?
The demo that was the Unreal 5 demo looked really cool.
Yeah.
And I know whatever that was connected with PS5 or whatever, that really doesn't matter. I mean, that's the first thing that I've seen that's like, oh, that looks really
And
cool.
even then, that was 1440p 30.
Yeah.
So it wasn't 4K 60. So like that demonstration you saw could look better.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to think about.
It is. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. Like, and that's one thing where I think that it might be hard for Xbox to say, here's Halo Infinite. It looks awesome. You can play it wherever you want to play it.
Sure.
It looks really good on Xbox One X, but if you play it on Xbox Series X, are they going to denigrate the Xbox One X experience to promote the Series X experience?
I'm wondering if Sony might be doing a similar thing with The Last of Us.
Yeah.
To be quite honest with you. But I'm sure there will be some of that. I mean, that's just a part of the game, right? That's part of the business. They got to give you some incentive to move up. And I think ultimately, their play is to give you, I think that's why they're focusing so much on the features instead of just the raw performance. Yeah. You know, like they're telling you, like, it's there and it's going to be amazing. But what are they focused on? They're focused on the new controller. They're focused on being able to suspend 5 games. I think there'll be a whole thing about xCloud. There'll be a whole thing about, like the new UI and the new store. Like, they're focusing on features other than just raw performance because it's going to be hard to show that in a stream.
Mm-hmm. So the multiple suspend and resume, like right now, when I'm playing Xbox games, I'm bouncing back and forth between Super Mega Baseball and Minecraft Dungeons. It would be really nice to be like, okay, I'm going to jump in, play a game of Super Mega Baseball, and then, okay, I'm going to do a dungeon run and not have to close a game, load a game.
Yeah.
And especially with games that are more intensive than those two games. Like if I decided to play Red Dead Redemption 2 right now, not having to load that up in between everything else I'm playing.
Sure.
So
yeah.
That's been one of my favorite features of the current generation is suspend and resume.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. No, I think I do it on every console I have.
Yep.
The Switch, everything, and being able to bounce between even more games than just one, that would be even better. That'd be fantastic.
Even better. Yep.
So the earlier question, the Xbox One question that we had, the what new game would make Series X an instant purchase? One thing in my household that would push me to buy a Series X would be if Dance Dance Revolution came to that.
Ooh.
As a because it's not something for me necessarily, but others in my house and something that I join in on
but
too.
I wish
But that's something.
Did you guys ever play 1 versus 100?
Hmm.
No,
but I know the game show.
Dude, that's what it was. It was kind of like that, but you played on live with Xbox Live friends.
That's isn't it basically Fortnite? That's 1 versus 99.
But trivia based, not shooting people.
Yeah, it's trivia based, and like you would all
Same
get into
thing.
a game, and that's exactly what it was. Is you would get in a game with people on Xbox Live, and you would get questions, and you would try to survive until the last one. You'd answer all the questions. I love the mess out of the game on 360. I played it so often when I wasn't doing something. Sorry, hang on. I played it so often when I wasn't doing something. Man, I would love for that. Like those little experiences. They used to have, like the arcade stuff. They had so much of that stuff back then. And I know that they still focus a lot on indies, but I'd love to see more of that. Like it's like in the summer of arcade type thing, not just in name and the promotion, but like in general. Like a whole, like what if the store had like its own indies section that highlighted developers and partners and stuff like that. Documentaries. That was the other thing I was thinking about. Like, you guys play Rare Replay?
A little bit.
So Rare Replay is loaded full of like documentaries and marketing videos and like old commercials and stuff like that. It'd be really, really cool to see like stuff that baked into the experience more. So like when you clicked on a game in the store, you didn't just get a trailer and a screenshot. You could be like, and here's the developer, and here's a message from the developer, and check this out, and here's a commercial, and like a little hub of that developer space. Stuff like that would be neat, really neat.
That would be cool. We shall see. We shall see what we get. So that will bring us to the end of the evening. So Seth, thank you very much for joining us this week. Where can people connect with you and maybe a certain something else you're working on right now for gamesreviews.com? I hear you're playing something.
Yeah. Gamesreviews.com. I'll have a review going up shortly for Super Mega Baseball 3. And then also, you put me on the spot here. It's Cartwriter. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah, I downloaded the Cartwriter beta. I haven't, but I'm looking forward to it. It looks like a cute little game, and we can see how it stacks up to other kart racers. Of course, this one is free, so
yeah, a little bit different. Donnie, where can people find you since you joined us anyway? You're muted.
Sorry, I was chasing a call.
Sorry.
Hang on. No, it's okay. You won't find me on podcasts, and you probably won't find me on Twitter. Not until some of these protests die down. I'm happy that I was able to at least turn the mic on and say a few things to you guys for a couple of minutes. It feels great. I can't tell you how I haven't played a game or a podcast in days, and it felt great just to turn it on.
Yeah.
It feels awful, I guess, being this far removed. But I was happy to play producer for you guys, and I'm hoping this stuff will be kind of
over soon.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to say over. I feel like that's the wrong word, right?
Well, like resolved soon.
I support the cause.
Right.
The cause has chained me to my desk for the last 8 days, and I'd really love to like watch Netflix or something. That'd be fantastic right about now.
I do one other place you can find me. I don't know if it's posted yet or when it's going up. The most recent edition of Books for Nerds, Books for Geeks, whatever I call it, should be up on the Patreon shortly.
Yes.
And in that, I talked about books I'm reading for this next month. And off the top of my head, I forget what they are. But one book that I'm adding to that, related to everything going on, is it's a book called How to Be an Anti-Racist, and is just written by a black man and about his experiences growing up, and talks about his parents. He's our age. Mid to upper 30s, and just kind of the history of racism in America and in the world a little bit. I'm really early on in the book right now, but just trying to educate myself about some issues that, as a white 30-something from Central Ohio, I just I'm not as familiar with.
Fair enough. So, yep, Books for Geeks will be up tomorrow. The books you wanted to mention were Darth Bane Trilogy, Mistborn series, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, as well as preview your books for June. So that will be on the Patreon feed tomorrow, or today if you're listening to this show as it's recorded. But it'll be out there. You can follow me at PSVG Kevin on all of the things, all the gaming consoles, all the social media platforms. And of course, I urge you to head over to psvg.blog to find links to everything that we do, all the podcasts, all the Discords, all that stuff. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for joining us this week. Hopefully telling a friend and spreading the good word. Let us know what you think of the new show and the new format. But just remember, when all the rest let you down, X going to give it to you. Until next week, everybody.